time today. Thank you very much for joining us and taking the time out of your busy day. I miss you guys. You know, we haven't had physical meetings and we haven't had much over the summer except back in July. So I hope all of your families are safe and sound. Hope you had a fun-filled summer, the best you could, obviously, given the circumstances. But we're all delighted that we're having you on our meeting here today. So we got a really good set of speakers here this afternoon. Many of you know them. They're no strangers to our Zoom or to our NCNC. So with that, the meeting is being recorded and we're going to proceed with opening the meeting. And if I can get, as the first order of business, a motion to approve the minutes from the July 22nd meeting. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
I move.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Okay, ayes?
Ayes.
Aye, got it. All right, great. We have a motion on the treasurer's report for July and August. Gives us a balance of $61,165.59 in the bank. A motion, please.
So motion.
All right, second. All right, all the ayes, all the nays. Okay, we're passed. All right, great. That's the formal part of the meeting. Okay, so let me, if I can, just make a few comments. We have a delegates only meeting on October the 7th from 4:30 to 5:15. I hope if you're a delegate, you can make that discussion. We really want to talk about how to improve our effectiveness in resolving issues. And also, obviously, what kind of communications do you have within your communities to disseminate the information that not only do we learn, obviously, in a meeting like today, but if in fact you're involved with whomever you're touching base with, whether it's an elected official, a business owner, somebody from the local establishment area. We'd like to know how you're communicating within your community to update your residents and update your board. So that's on October the 7th. Our next NCNC meeting is October 26th. It takes me a little bit of time and Camille working together to get some of our speakers lined up, but we've got Dr. Alonso has committed to speak to us in October. That's great. She's going to talk about, obviously, the COVID situation. Melissa McKinley, Commissioner McKinley is going to talk in October. We have Paul Owens, who's the president of 1,000 Friends of Florida. He's also going to speak. And then we have a resident that's going to talk about their community. And we'll leave that just be a little secret for a while and make sure he's confirmed that he's ready to go with that. And then we have Teresa Urquhart, who's the CEO from Palm Beach Gardens Medical Center, no stranger to us. She's also going to present. So we got a good lineup today. Great
Sal,
lineup
what is the date for that meeting again?
The date of that is October 26th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a Zoom.
Thank you.
We're getting nearby. I've been asking about our annual meeting next year. And eventually I'd like to hear from you. Either send me an email note or a phone call or whatever. But I'm going to reserve a room, the ballroom that we normally have at IBIS. Don't know if we're going to have physical meetings in the April, late March timeframe yet. I would hope so. But worst case is we'll have another Zoom meeting from an annual meeting. They're not as effective, but clearly the physical meeting is a lot nicer. You get a chance to network with everybody. And we have a little pomp and circumstance in the beginning of all of our meetings in that respect. And then we'll line up our speakers as we go forward. So we'll let you know the date of that, but I'm more interested in knowing as we get a little closer. I know it's only September, but April's only, 6 months away, 6 months away. And it'll be honest in no time at all, whether or not we're comfortable on having physical meetings. There are a lot of organizations that are doing that. I'm going down to one in the Kravitz later here in the month with respect to the opioid situation. I want to know more about what we're doing from a county point of view, and Melissa McKinley is going to be speaking on that. And then we've got another a couple of meetings coming up in October as well that are physical meetings. So we'll see how everybody's doing. And I know we're trying to practice the social distancing and the masking and so forth, but if you get 100, 150 people in a room, it's tough to get too comfortable. In any event, okay, so with that, it is tax time, and we have none other than our tax collector, Ann Gannon, that's going to give a perspective on her function and what she does and what the outlook looks like for collecting all of this money that we have to give to the county. So Ann, you've got them.
Thank you very much. And we do have a presentation that one of my staff, Beth, is gonna load on, but I'm not sure where she is right now. So we'll just start. I think one of the things that people ask when our office closed,
Excuse me, Ann, I can
Yeah.
load it up for you.
I don't have it. She's supposed to be sharing my screen.
I
don't know
can
what
do it.
happened.
I can do it for you. I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay. I'll
Yes.
do it.
Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, Camille, you do a great job
Thank you.
reminding us of everything going on. I really appreciate all that you do.
Thank you. Here we go. Just tell me when you want me to go to the next screen. I'll do it for you.
Go to the next screen. In the next two slides, I want to talk about how our business has shifted since 2019. As you know, our office was closed a month and a half in 2020 due to COVID. And when we actually closed it, our office worked out of our call center, serving as many clients as we could. But what that really did for us is it shifted where our business went. And on the next two lines, you can see that the shift from phones to email and then to online, which has always been a goal for us to shift more business online. So we seized the moment and we worked this issue really well. And we've continued to see that change in where we serve our clients. You want to, Camille, hit the next slide. So you can see it from 2019 to 2021. It's really helped our in-person wait times also. So, and we struggle with that. And a lot of it is based on people who show up in our office and who don't understand they need to have an appointment to get in our office now. And you are required to wear a mask, and my staff is also required to wear a mask. The safety of my staff is always utmost in this operation, because if we don't have our staff and they have COVID or their children have COVID, which I believe is a really bad mistake the governor's making, my staff has to stay home with their kids. If they stay home with their kids, they're not in my office to be able to serve the public. And it's the same issue with people who get COVID, which is one of the reasons that I mandated our employees to actually get a vaccine. And I don't think we've had 5 COVID cases, which would be breakthrough cases since we did that. And frankly, we've had a different kind of employee, potential employee apply. And what they tell us is that we feel safe working in your office because people have vaccines and they're required to wear masks. And of course, we also have the plastic that we put up in all of our branch offices. So we're pretty pleased with that. And I took a lot of heat when I first did it, but you know, I just stayed focused on what we were trying to accomplish, was to make sure our employees showed up for work so that we could serve our client base. So it's worked, and I'm proud of our employees for, we did lose some employees over this mandate, but that was a choice they made, and eventually we lost about 8 employees. So, but we still have a need for additional staff. If you know anyone who is looking for a job, tell them to go to our website and apply. There is some criteria, but we would be excited if they met that criteria and we could talk to them. We're also in the process right now of increasing our base wage in our offices for our incoming service assistants that serve on the front lines. That will happen in January. Camille, you want to switch to the next one? The driver's license, our road test, as you know, it's a 3-hour or 3-month wait time. And let me explain how that works. You get your notice for your driver's license 90 days ahead, and then we send the second notice out if you have not responded to that. These are courtesy notices that frankly the taxpayers in Palm Beach County pay for. They're not required under the statute, but we do send them out. So if you pay attention to your mail and you understand you receive that 90 days ahead, you have plenty of time to make an appointment for a road test and a written test to be able to renew our vehicle registration renewals. Most of them you can do over the internet, or you could do with the DHS and MV website. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to get an appointment in all of our locations. Our out-of-state title transfers, those are sometimes pretty complicated, and people really need to come into our office to do those. You really can't do those over the internet. Florida title transfer from one car to another, you can come into our office and it's usually 3 to 5 days. And property tax payments, you can either come through our line or you can drop them in our Dropbox and they're posted to your account the next day. So that's a pretty easy situation to do. If you mail your property tax in and you have not put the envelope that was included with your tax bill, or you've written me notes, which I have people that write on their tax bills, or they staple them, all of those are kicked out of our mail processing system and they have to be posted by hand. And those do take additional time. Now, I know that many, probably Maria will have constituents that say, well, I mailed it here. Do I get credit for that day? It's the postmark on the envelope. It's not the day we process it. So that's pretty important because people get really, they get pretty antsy about that whole issue. And I don't blame them because I wouldn't want to, send it in and it not get posted till December, which means you would get a 3% discount. You want to do the next slide, Camille? Our excellence in financial operations. As you know, we are funded by fees and commissions on services provided, not by tax dollars. And our budget is approved each year by the Department of Revenue. More information on our budget can actually be found in our annual report to our citizens, which you can get on our website. Last year, our approved budget in 2020 was $31 million. That's our overhead budget. The total fees collected was about $82 million. And so we returned to taxing authorities $52 million, which enables them to actually fund their budgets and spend on issues that come up in communities, such as traffic lights or anything else that wasn't funded in their budget. They could potentially do that. The reason in Palm Beach County, my authority actually comes from being the constitutional tax collector. It's actually in the Florida Constitution, and I have agreements with Palm Beach County and other levying authorities in our county. The services we provide, the number one service, of course, is real estate property tax collection. And even though you think that we collect that much in taxes, it's usually about 700,000 pieces of property. So the collection is like $3.3 billion every year. The tangible personal property tax is a tax on all the furniture and fixture and businesses. Our tourist development tax, because of COVID last year, our tourist development tax collections were down about $25 million. We are beginning to see that go up, but as COVID, the Delta COVID is increasing in our communities, you see a decrease in the property or the tourist development tax collected. And our local business tax receipts, of course, every business in Palm Beach County is required to have a business tax receipt, as if they are located in the city, they must have that. And some of them also must have a state tax. So it's like a 3-tier. The one we collect is only for the county. And I'm just going to give you want to change the, yes, thank you. And go to the next one, Camille. I forgot to tell you. Okay, here's how your property tax is actually calculated. It's the value, which actually comes from the property appraiser's assessment, minus the exemptions, equals your taxable value. Your exemption, of course, is your homestead, or you could have a widow's exemption, or any, I think there's about 10 other exemptions you can get in Florida. Those are really minimal exemptions. And then we take our taxable value times the millage rate, which the county sets, or our taxing authorities, and it equals your property taxes. You take your property taxes plus the non-ads, and it equals your annual taxes. And that's really the formula that sets your taxes. If any of your members have questions, you're welcome to use that slide to explain it to you, explain it to
And
them.
I have a question. This is Sal.
Sure.
I've been a long-term resident here over 20 years, so I know and I see the tax bills every year. Increasingly so, we see special districts,
Yes.
health districts, school districts, water districts. I mean, they get added beyond the valuation of your property. It's fire fees and all the other kind of good stuff. Who controls all of that?
The Healthcare Taxing District, the Children's Services Council, the South Florida Water Management District, they set all those rates and they have to furnish those to us. There are opportunities for the public to attend their meetings and comment on the rates that they set based on their budget requests.
I have to give you some feedback, and I'm usually pretty astute, or I can't recall ever receiving a notice from the health district or anybody else for when their meetings are going to be held to discuss their budgets. I don't see that stuff.
I don't see it either. I just know they have to certify their tax roll to us by a certain date so it can be placed on the tax bill. And I think the date was last Friday because we had an issue with the city of Lake Worth.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we don't get a notice in the mail, then we have no idea when they're going to have their meeting on the item on the agenda for
Well,
approval.
I would suggest that you check their websites, and because it's not a set date. I don't have the authority to send notices for them. In fact, the only notices that we don't really send out anything except the total tax bill that's to be paid beginning
Right.
November the 1st.
I understand that. All right, we got a hand being raised up there. I see Ellen. You're on mute.
Hi, I wanted to say that for Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, we advertise and we have a meeting to set the trim rate, and we have at least 2 times where the public can come and comment. But my comment for Ann was, I work at Seminole Ridge High School in Westlake, and I understand you're having a building, a new office built out there. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure, I'll be glad to tell you about it. I was out there the other day. Should be open by January of next year. It is very similar to our central service center. It's moving along, and we are also beginning to do preliminary construction in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. You will see the little fort being torn down soon. We did the RFP we did on our building. The Morganti company is going to construct the building. We've worked with them on some previous buildings that they're very good, and they can probably have that building in PGA up in, I would say, maybe 14 months. They're very efficient, and we work very well with them. So that will open hopefully January, and we are beginning to put notices at our Royal Palm Beach office because that office is closing, and we will only have Westlake out in that western part of the community.
Yeah.
Part of the challenges that we've had at the Royal Palm Beach office is they have limited parking, and there is no way to add additional parking places because all the land around the building is owned by the city of Royal Palm Beach. And that is their growth area eventually.
Just a comment I want to make. I got a little chat that came towards me that said the CSC posts in the schedules in the paper. That's assuming you get the paper. I do not get the post.
Yes. No, that is true. They do publish them in the paper.
Yeah.
All of those districts publish them.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a topic for discussion that we need to figure out how people get notified of those meetings so that they can attend them and ask questions about their budget.
Okay, moving right
Because
along.
nobody really pays any attention,
Right.
to be honest.
Right.
And then, my next slide, if you want to flip the slides, go forward. Yeah, we're open for collection November the 1st. We traditionally open a little bit ahead of that. If our tax roll has been loaded on our system, then we would open maybe 2 or 3 days ahead of time and you could pay your taxes. But it doesn't get you any more discount, I can tell you. So in November, of course, you know, it's 4%.
Sorry.
December, it's 3. It's all
Sorry,
right.
there you go. There you go.
There, this is our property tax distribution, all the dollars that we collect and we remit to the taxing authorities. As you can see, that any entity that's authorized to levy taxes in Palm Beach County, we have agreements to collect on behalf of. Do you
What
want
percentage of the taxpayers take advantage of the discounts?
about 65% pay in November. And then it goes down until you hit April the 1st when taxes become delinquent. And we typically have about, well, last year it was a very surprising to us because we figured we would have more delinquent taxes because we usually have about 100 million that we sell at the tax certificate sale. We actually had about 80 million. That was very surprising to us because we believed everyone was just as challenged fiscally as a lot of businesses, but you know, they must have gotten their money out of their cookie can in the backyard or whatever, and they paid their taxes, or maybe it was that they didn't travel and they paid their taxes on time, because some people, the 4% discount really doesn't amount to much, and they hold it and don't pay it during any of the discount because they're using their money in a different place, which I understand. Okay, Camille, you want to flip it?
Keep going.
No, we don't have to go through this. We actually took this out of the.
Okay, sorry. It was, I got it the
No,
other
it's
day.
okay. They sent this to you. They should have taken the other information out, but we're moving along. Our goal is always to improve our service to our clients. We're looking this year. One of the things we did do is we got security on our computer systems, cybersecurity, because of all the people that have broken into cities and counties and banks, and we have insured our systems. So we feel real comfortable with that. It was a move in the right direction, and an internal discussion we had. So
And I had a question from one of the delegates, not today,
Okay.
but in a conversation we had some time ago. His issue was he was frustrated because you don't employ an ACH capability.
we have ACH. Yeah,
Sam, why don't you speak up and ask your question there? You got the tax collector right here in front of you. Get off of mute first. Sam.
we do business by ACH, but it's cheaper
Sam
to
Boyd,
use.
can you hear me? Raise your hand. Sam Boyd, can you hear me?
Hear you.
All right, ask your question to the tax collector.
Okay. The other day, well, there's two things. One is when you do your license renewals and you do it online, would you consider having an ACH transaction available to the users?
Probably not with licenses. We do that. We do it with property tax, but you can use an e-check from your bank, and it doesn't cost anything.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. When I renewed this last time, you paid $5 more. I had tags, so I don't know whether that was what the cost was or not, but.
No, actually, there's a fee if you use the credit card, and it's not a fee that we keep. It's our credit card processor.
This was in addition to
A $5 fee. That was probably a mailing fee.
okay, all right.
Yeah, it was a mailing fee if you order online.
And then the other question I had was, I was listening to the Palm Beach Gardens do their taxes this year and talking about the millage rate, and on an average home of $450,000, it was going to be about $20 to each customer for those that had the homestead. But my curiosity was, how much of your tax base is homesteaded, and what's going to be the impact on the non-homesteaded people, because the value of these houses have gone up so much?
Well, It is pretty substantial, the transfer to people that aren't homesteaded here. Unfortunately, that's not an issue that we could address. It's a legislative issue, or actually it would be a constitutional amendment issue. It would have to be placed on the ballot either by a group of citizens who gathered, I think, 500,000 signatures, or it would have to go through the legislature and be placed on the ballot. But you have to balance that out with the people who are homesteaded in our county versus someone who doesn't live here all year round. And so it's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much, because a lot of people have rental properties and things like that. What type of
Right.
increase would they be expecting over the next couple of years?
I don't know. That probably would be a good question to ask the property appraiser who does that kind of analysis,
Okay,
because
All
she has access to all the values.
all right.
But if you want to email me that question, I'll give it to Dorothy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Ann? I see a hand raised there. Robert Wax. Is that a hand raised there? Take yourself off mute if you want to ask a question. No? No? Okay. Anybody
And
else?
you won't, I'm sorry,
No.
someone was asking a question. You all know that we do act as an agent for DHS and MV and other services. And I believe our new Westlake office will have TSA pre-check that you can apply for there. And we have that in our Delray Beach office, but we're working on that. And we do fingerprinting. We do fingerprinting for other organizations and charge them. We do Florida birth certificates through vital statistics. Only Florida birth certificates. Sometime in the future, they'll connect all these computer systems and be able to get a birth certificate from another state, but at this time we can't. And we do hunting and fishing licenses along with our motor vehicle services, our disabled persons. If you need a handicap sticker or physically challenged sticker, you must have a form filled out by your doctor, and we need the original form. We can't take a copy. So if you would mail that to us, we in fact can get you a handicap sticker back in the mail. If you have a permanent handicap sticker, you don't pay a fee. If you have a temporary one, you do pay a fee. So, and our HOV decals, I'm not sure how they're going to work that out once they put in those high occupancy lanes where you have to pay a fee to drive in them. And they're beginning in Boca Raton this year. And eventually they'll come up, well, they'll come up to North County eventually. They'll put one of those lanes in, which you will have to pay a fee to get in, like you do if you go to Miami, if you want to get in one of those lanes. So I'm not sure how those HOV stickers are going to work, because what would be the point? Why am I paying for a sticker when I'm going to have to pay another fee to get in that lane? It doesn't make much sense to me, but hey. And you know, we do driver's licenses and written exams, and we also do driving tests.
Right.
And we get a little backed up on driving tests, particularly around school and holidays, because a number of teenagers want to get their license, and that's the first step in getting their license.
Okay, Ann, well, thank you very much for your time here today. Always very informative, and Ann is always accessible. She's no stranger to us. She's been on the program several times in the past. So if you've got questions that you think about later, just send them to me. We'll get them to Ann and we'll get them responded to. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next speaker is Commissioner Maria Marino, who covers many of your communities. She's District 1 Commissioner. So where did she disappear to on my screen? Let me see, I lost her. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. Okay, so Commissioner, they're all yours.
Well, first, let me put myself on voice and not mute. Hi, all. How are you all? Rachelle, you need some coffee? I saw a yawn there. I'll try not to be boring. You all know me, Maria Marino, District 1 County Commissioner. If you don't have my phone number at my office, it's 561-355-2201. I am here to serve you all. You know that. And if you have any questions or just want to chat, feel free to call anytime. Or you could also visit our District 1 homepage and sign up for our newsletter. So that would, you just go to pbcgov.org and you'll find it. And, you know, I know a lot of you have signed up for the newsletter, so thank you very much in advance. And I hope you enjoy the reading. So I just want to let you know, I am really so proud to be serving our community. I started off in gardens like Rachelle and had the opportunity to come to the county, and it's been 10 months now. And every morning when I wake up, I really look forward to going to work. And, you know, I say that to my mom. For those of you that don't know, my parents, I've moved my parents in with me, but I say that to my mom in the morning, and she says, as a parent, you know, that's the best thing I could hear. So I just want you all to know that that's really how I feel about my job. And thank you for putting me here. So you've always heard me talk about the city. Now I'm going to talk about the county. So you all probably know we are 1.5 million residents, and we are, here's a good figure. We are roughly 3,345 miles of paved, maintained roads that the county maintains, 47 miles of coastline. We're larger than 11 US states, and 44% of our residents are in unincorporated. That's approximately 660,000 people. So we are the first line of government for 660,000 of the 1.5 million people that live in the county. And of the 31 counties nationwide, Palm Beach County is one of the select group of only 49 counties who have earned the highest possible bond rating. So I think you all, that is a benefit to all of you, because that means if we need money, we can get it, and we can get it cheaply. So I know a lot of you have asked me about the budget, where are the CARES dollars going? And by the way, I don't know if you saw this or not, but this is our annual budget. It's about, I don't know, 400 and some odd pages. But this is our, oh my God, this is our line item budget. Did my computer just go out?
No,
Can you see me?
we hear you. We got you.
No, can you see me?
Yes, we see you.
Okay, so you can see this stack that I now have sitting on my knee. All right, because my picture just went out. All right, so this is our line item budget, which I have to say I've actually read the whole thing. I use it for exercise too. But having said all that, that's about 1,300 pages. And why is it important to read it all? Because you want to know where your dollars are going and where have we gone up in our budget, or where have we gone down in our budget over the last year or so. And it's always good to have that information. So if you want a copy of our line item budget, it is actually on the computer in our budget, in the budget section of our computer. So American Rescue Plan and CARES Act dollars. Now, with the CARES Act funding, Palm Beach County received about $263 million. So with that money, because everybody wants to know what we did with the CARES Act dollars, we bought and provided over 2 million face masks, and we averaged between 100,000 pounds and 150,000 pounds per week delivery to the Palm Beach County Food Bank and other partnering agencies, and an average of 50,000 pounds per week in direct assistance to feed the hungry, their super pantry. So, you know, a lot of our dollars went directly where they were supposed to go, helping those in need. Nearly 12,000 checks were issued for rental and utility assistance, roughly to the tune of about $25 million. 1,500 checks for emergency mortgage assistance. That was roughly $12 million. And we assisted over 5,000 businesses, nearly 79 million to small businesses, and those are businesses with 25 or less employees. Nearly 700,000 to businesses with more than 25 employees, and or more than 3 million in receipts. And I'm sure the different municipalities had their own formula, but this is what we used. We provided nearly 60,000 direct COVID-19 tests through our partners. You may have even seen that we did testing at the airport. We purchased 2 mobile units for the healthcare district, and we supported 8 public sites. We also supported 5 vaccine sites and 2 mobile units. We assisted 216 eligible nonprofit organizations to just over $4 million. And we provided nearly $1 million for childcare expenses to the Early Learning Coalition. And that serves about 2,000 youths through over 250 providers. And we added over 400 miles of additional broadband fiber and extended the county network to 98 schools, because that was a big discussion about how the kids were going to be able to learn from home. And that was one of the things that the county did to step up and help. So our fiscal strategy for the American Rescue Plan is to allocate $290 million. Now, we haven't done, I should say dollar by dollar, but we've done, like behavioral health, we've set aside $10 million, and that's going to go for infrastructure improvements to the system. For broadband and cybersecurity infrastructure, we've set aside $43 million. General government expenses, $4 million, and that includes marketing and public education, messaging, staffing, constitutional officers, COVID-19 related expenses. For housing, we set aside $60 million for increased retention and supply of affordable and workforce housing. Hunger relief infrastructure, $10 million. Testing, vaccines, and antibodies, $3 million. Infrastructure for county buildings, $53 million. Infrastructure for culture, $4 million. Revenue replacement, $45 million. We're going to replace county revenues as outlined by the U.S. Treasury's guidelines to cover some capital and operating expenses. And this category is going to be hit a little bit more when we dive into the fiscal year 2022 budget. So I've already said, this is a one-time assistance that we have gotten from the federal government. So next year we're going to have to tighten our belts to make sure that there is no shortage. And the day I took office, I said, we have reserves in place for a reason. And I would definitely say that COVID is an unexpected, unforeseen circumstance. And that's really what reserves are for. So I don't want to see it become a burden to our taxpayers. I'd rather see additional expenses come out of our reserves. And I see a hand up. Jim, do you have a question, or can you wait till I'm done? Jim Levin, your hand is raised. And you're muted, so I couldn't hear anyway.
I was just scratching my head.
Oh, okay, because you had a hand raised on the screen. All righty.
Yeah,
So-
Maria, I have a question.
Sure.
Certainly, I applaud the effort to help the underprivileged and the impoverished and so forth. I got no problem with that from a compassion point of view. The only concern I've got is that money is not going to be there always. So to some extent, are we setting the expectations right that eventually the Pavlov effect is going to disappear? You can't expect it every year, whether it's for food or for rental assistance or whatever it has to be. I mean, how are we setting the expectations down the road a piece for some of these people who are reliant on it right now?
That's a good question, but for everything that we're doing, this is a one-time. This is a one-off. This is not we're going to do this every year. And that's why I already said to Virginia and staff that, this is a one-off. And we were able to take of the 290 million, that's in my notes later on, but we were able to take, we did take upwards of $40 million to cover shortfalls in our budget this year. So we are going to have an interesting budget cycle next year. And I do encourage all of you to really look at when the budget is published, and you have the 1,300 pages if you want to look at it and drill down on it. I'm happy. I'm going to probably convene a group of people to talk about our budget. So any volunteers, I'm happy to take
Well, we'll
it.
see. If you have questions that you're going to think about later, let me know and we'll get them to Maria and we'll have a dialogue.
Perfect. And that, I have to tell you, as a county commissioner, come October 1st, and like a municipal elected official too, the most important thing we do is adopt a budget, and we have to make sure we live within that budget, just like a business does. Because at the end of the day, the county is a $6 billion business. Now, even though we have a $6 billion budget, that is not all paid for by ad valorem taxes. I want everybody to know that. We do have some enterprise funds. So really less than $2 billion of that is collected in taxes. The rest of that is paid for by certain services. Like if you're going to the tax collector, you're paying your fees to the tax collector. If you're using the water utilities for the county, that's a separate fund. If you are going to the airport, that's another separate fund. So we do have jobs that are paid for by ad valorem taxes, and we have jobs that are paid for by the fees that are charged for a particular service. So that's also something to remember. When you see a $6 billion budget, it's not because you're paying $6 billion in taxes. I'm going to repeat that because I know it's something that people don't ever really hear. We have a $6 billion budget. Over almost $4 billion of that is paid for by other services, other enterprise funds. Not all of it is taxes that you paid from your property.
What's the employment base in the county, Maria?
Well, depending on how you include, if you include the police and fire, it's different. But we generally talk about a 6,000 person employment base. So there's a lot of people. So I know that the priorities set by the Board of Governors for the commission has always been economic development, housing and homelessness, environmental protection, infrastructure, substance use and behavior disorders, and public safety. And I know public safety is so important to everyone. I mean, across the board, that is what I hear all the time. Public safety, how are we funding our police? And it's really important to everybody. I can't tell you that we really don't have a lot of people that complain about our police budget because everybody wants to be as safe as possible. So, and it is a big portion of our ad valorem taxes that fund the police budget. But the 11th straight year, the board has set the countywide millage rate the same at 4.7815 mils. And this will generate just over $1 billion, which is a 5.6% increase given the increase in property values. But what you also have to remember too is even though property values are going up right now, we don't see the value of that payment until next year because you pay your property taxes in arrears. So even though your house might have gone up right now, it's not going to reflect until next year's tax bill. So maybe next year's tax bill, when we know what that value is going to be, it will help offset our expenses.
Yeah.
So
Maria, I had another question come to me. I remember vividly Kim Delaney from the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council kind of project, growth within Palm Beach County. And she indicated that over 10 years, 300,000 people are expected to move to our county. It's 30,000 people a year. What's the thought on affordable housing? Where are we going to put all these people? We're not going to put them in some of these parts of the North County area. I mean, maybe not your district, but maybe out in Melissa's district in District 6 or something. I don't know. But I mean, how are we going to handle 30,000 more people, not only with regards to living and housing, but also with regards to jobs and infrastructure and roadways and all that kind of good stuff?
I think what you're going to see in the future, Sal, is that cities are going to do some probably urban development. We'll take the city of Palm Beach Gardens, and I'm sure if you have got Rachelle talking later after me, I'm sure she's going to cover this too. So, you're going to start seeing urban infill, but you're only going to see urban infill if you can see some sort of transportation component along with it. Because if you build an apartment and instead of allowing 2 parking spaces, you only allow 1, that's a change. That's a change in land use for each of the governments. And that might be the way that you might see housing. You may see micro housing. And I don't want to use that word because I don't want people to think we're going to build these little tiny houses. But, for a millennial, do they need more than 400 square feet? And do they want to pay for more than 400 square feet or 500 square feet? So I have a feeling you may see some smaller units if there's some way that we could figure out a way to deal with the impact fees that go along with it. It's a larger conversation than just saying this is what I'd like to see, because there's a lot of components to it. But there are, a lot of municipalities, the cost of land is too expensive for there to be a lot of affordable housing, but it does become a component with a developer to have that you can get density bonuses if you have affordable housing. And there's a lot of different kind of affordable housing. You have workforce housing, you have essential services housing, you have assistance. So there's different levels of salaries that go along with the different types of housing. And this is just an ongoing, Sal, this is a like a landmine I'm walking on here, because this is a topic that will be with us for a very long time. And we just have to figure out ways to be able to put in maybe smaller units, more urbanization, more mobility, so that we don't have to put cars on the road, because everybody's biggest fear is if we build up, we're going to have a lot more traffic. So we have to figure a way to be able to build up and have people do something other than get in a car. And that might be light rail. That may be, a BART system where you have a dedicated bus route. Sal, this is a whole other conversation besides the budget.
Well, I'm thinking of traveling to cities where I've been to many, many years ago. Chicago, to get out to the airport, they had to put that BART system in there, and San Francisco and Pittsburgh's looking at it. I mean, a whole lot of cities. I mean, Okeechobee Boulevard to me is a perfect candidate for it. I mean, you're not going to widen it so much, and then eventually you can't widen it anymore. So technology, whether it's artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, other forms of technology that can be used to transport people, or maybe the workforce has got to really adopt the hybrid model a lot better than perhaps we had, despite the pandemic. Maybe
I think you're going to see a lot more input from our businesses that are coming here, because we have been growing leaps and bounds with the headquarter businesses that are here. I think you're going to see a lot of partnerships with, especially when it comes to housing, transportation, education. You're going to see a lot of that in the future, and that's why we have the Business Development Board, the Economic Council, and all the county commissioners all working together to figure out really a long-term strategy for this.
Yeah, I mean, Kim told me 35% of all the millennials do not have a driver's license.
And I'm telling you, I was one of those people when I turned 16 years and an hour, I was standing in front of a motor vehicle trying to get my license, and you're going to be prying those keys out of my cold, dead hands. I will always be a driver, but I do know there are a lot of people that don't want their licenses. They don't want the responsibility of a car. They don't want to pay the insurance. They don't want the car payment. And that's when we have Palm Tram, which is almost a $200 million line item in our budget. Granted, a lot of that money is from federal grants. But we need to encourage people to start getting on the available transportation that we have, and also coming up with some partnerships with Uber and Lyft and all those others to actually do the first mile, last mile if you are getting on and off Tri-Rail. And I'll put my Tri-Rail hat on for a minute, since I'm on the Tri-Rail board. We've actually just gotten approved to do a study to see if we could possibly have a Tri-Rail station near the VA hospital, which would be an interesting terminus for all of us in the north end of the county. Right. So I'll keep you posted about that. So a study means, yes, maybe we can have it, maybe we can't, but then funding for it is a whole other topic. So, I mean, funding for rail is just expensive, and we have to figure out a way to carefully maneuver that. But I'm going to stop talking about the budget, because I think I overloaded you with facts and figures. Just suffice it to say, I do read the budget. I did have questions. If you have questions going forward, please feel free to email them to me. I'm always happy to entertain them. And if you really want, the 1,300 pages, it's on the county's website. But I did want to talk. I know that North Lake Boulevard is a hot topic for everybody right now. And I'm actually meeting with administration on Thursday, walking through planning and zoning and building. And this is something that we're totally engaged in. And I want to thank Mike Englishire and Sal. You guys are always staying on top of this, and I really, really do appreciate it. It's truly an issue of major concern for me. I mean, I live in PGA National. I travel North Lake Boulevard all the time. I'm trying to get part of North Lake Boulevard taken off of the long-range transportation plan because we just can't widen North Lake Boulevard from the Beeline to Military Trail, because we have businesses along there, we have right-of-ways along there, we have utilities along there. So there's a methodology that the county uses where things stay on the long-range transportation plan so they can study it and then take it out of the plan. If you take it out of the plan now, it's like always up in limbo. So I know it makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense to me. That's why on Thursday, it's part of my discussion with Road and Bridge. But But, you know, the county engineers and planners acknowledge that it'd be extremely expensive to do that. So I'm just trying to get it to the point where we get it in writing that we're taking it off, it's not coming back. So I can assure all of our owners and our businesses that are along that portion of North Lake Boulevard, this is not something that's going to happen. And I mean, I know there's a lot of gated communities along North Lake that want to be assured of the widenings and how that's going to happen. This is a longer discussion. As I said, Thursday, I should have some more answers. So I really look forward to my discussion with the county on that.
Yeah,
I am a voice.
Without getting specific enough, but just generally speaking, we all support widening North Lake to 6 lanes. Our challenge is the 8-lane issue, because in that respect, then they take away the turn lanes and the egress lanes. And I mean, it presents a very unfortunate, serious safety hazard. I've got the police reports. I had Chief of Police from Palm Beach Gardens pull them together for the last 3 or 4 years. I can send them to you. We've got the highest rate of accidents is Beeline, and the next highest rate is the Ibis Boulevard traffic light. I mean, we've had more accidents on those 2 intersections on North Lake than any other place. So, you know, we know we got to widen North Lake to 6 lanes west of the Beeline. 8 lanes, we don't agree with that.
And Sal, I am with you on that. It's you know, there's different portions of North Lake with different lanes. So we already have 3 lanes from Beeline to Military. So there's no sense in widening to 8, which is what's on the long range transportation plan.
We agree with that. You know, the only other thing to think about if you talk to them is, you know, coming from Seminole, Pratt Whitney, they're eventually going to go to 4 lanes at Hall, then from Hall to Coconut to 6 lanes. And then if you go from Coconut to State Road 7 with 6 lanes, then you back down to 4 lanes when you go from State Road 7 to the Beeline. So the configuration causes congestion in itself and potentially presents a hazard in that respect. We just as soon as see 6 lanes all the way from Hall down to the State Road 7 intersection, or all the way down to the Beeline.
I'm with you, but I don't want our communities to lose their decel and acceleration leads either in the process. So
yeah, and the traffic engineering department have told me that they don't have any drawings yet, so there's nothing that, you know, they can relate to, but they understand. They won't commit, but, you know, we're asking for them to obviously not go to 8 lanes because we're not going to give up our turn lanes.
Right, but Sal, just to reiterate, we're all on the same page.
Gotcha.
I am.
Okay. Any other questions for Maria, the commissioner? I mean, I don't want to monopolize it here myself, but anybody else got questions for? She's very gracious with her time, and she is very accessible. So don't take her up on her offer to call her or send her an email. She's always very responsive.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Victor.
Commissioner, who makes the final decisions as to whether or not something is in a long range plan like the 8-lane? What I'm asking for is it can be put in the documents that 8 lanes can never be considered in the future or something like that, because we don't want it to come back when in 10, 15 years when we're all gone, but it's still a big item. We don't want it coming back to bite us. Is there anything that can be said in the documents, and who actually combines or creates the final plan? Is it traffic engineering or the commissioners?
The final plan would come to the commissioners. As a matter of fact, we've done earlier this year, we have taken items off the plan. It's the same as, I know this is not the purview of this community here, but like the Marcinski Bridge in Jupiter, it's still on the plan, and it shouldn't be on the plan because that'll never happen. So it's up to the Board of County Commissioners. But remember, we're elected for 2 4-year terms, and in 8 years from now, when there's another county commissioner there, they may have a different attitude than I do, and you know, county commissioners can change ordinances that had come before them. That doesn't give you the answer you're looking for, but it is the truest answer I can give you.
Right. One other question is, is there any study being done in regard to the relief of traffic on North Lake when the road from Coconut Grove going through Avenue up to PGA, because that would relieve pressure off of North Lake. When will that road be done? And is that considered up consideration to keep North Lake down to 6 lanes? So it would never be considered to go to 8.
Well, I'm not going to give you the answer that traffic would give you, which is we don't put traffic lights in until they're warranted.
I
But
mean, the road though, the road
no,
when
I
it's
know.
done.
Hold on, Victor. Let me continue. The road through Avenir is and Rosa, you're on the line, aren't you? I think you are. But the road through Avenir is based on building permits in Avenir itself. So when there is a certain benchmark of homes that have gotten their CO, that's when that road needs to be built. Now we can't forecast when that is, especially now because and Rosa, you will correct me if I'm wrong. They've actually, hey Rosa, there have actually been a little bit of a halt to sales because of delivery of materials, because of labor and all sorts of things. So whereas it might have been going gangbusters in sales, you don't want to sell something that you can't deliver. So the advent of the road is a whole different story. And Rosa, you can correct me if I'm wrong in what I said. I don't want to add confusion.
No, I think you're rarely wrong. So Maria is correct. We have a development order that was approved at the City of Palm Beach Gardens when Maria was on the council, and it has certain requirements. The requirement for that road is triggered by trips. So whenever we get to a certain number of trips calculated by the pulling of building permits, that triggers the timing for that road. We're working on what needs to be done for that to happen because it's not an easy process. We're working with both the county and DOT and CSX to relocate a crossing. And that's something we started doing on day one. So it's in process, but Maria is also correct, even though Avenir is a very large project and I want to be here when it's really advanced. At the moment, I think we have like 15 people living there. So we're not quite, it takes a while for parcels to be developed. And then we convey to a builder, then they sell and build a home. And so even though the market is fantastic, it takes a long time. It's not like we're going to get there from one year to the next. It takes years.
Yeah, Victor, Rosa and her team, I know we've had Zoom meetings in the past or conference calls on the connector road and the CSX railway. So between Maria and Rosa and Palm Beach Gardens, we're all one big team here trying to make it happen. So it's just a question on how fast they can build homes and how fast they can sell them and what CSX will do for us. So we'll keep you posted. And I have to tell you,
that was my second vote on city council in 2016. Was Avenir. And it was one of the votes that I felt was most important to our city for what it could be. And what Avenir has done as a partner with the city is incredible. I mean, they could have taken the property and sold it for 480, 10-acre parcel, 10-acre units and been a drain on the city without giving anything to the city. What they've done is they've put 2,400 acres into conservancy that will connect 100,000 acres of wetlands at no cost to the taxpayer. They've given the city over 110 acres for parks and recreation. They gave the city 50 acres for economic development. We couldn't have done this as a city if we didn't partner with them. And it really is the last jewel in the City of Palm Beach Gardens toolbox. So Rosa, to you and your folks, thank you.
Well, thank you guys. And Rachelle, thank you for working with us always. But we want that road there too. And traffic is one of those things people think about. We want to be able to have a community that works. So we really have planned it as much as possible to mitigate the impacts of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, they have plans where they can get to their commercial property without ever having a resident not going on to North Lake Boulevard. So that's a great, design point. So anyhow, Victor, we'll keep you posted on that. Thank you, Maria, for your time. Really
Excuse me,
appreciate
Sal,
it.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am. Who's asking the question?
Camille.
Oh, go.
Maria, can you give us an update on the racetrack property sale?
Well, I will give you what I know. The racetrack is under contract with Portman. This is public record. Their vision is to put 4 warehouses on that space. The only thing that they are going to have to get in the way of input from the Board of County Commissioners is approval for a site plan. Now, the folks that want to build the racetrack or want to keep the racetrack there, they would also have to come in front of the Board of County Commissioners for site approval, because their goal is to build 100 basically warehouse type structures where it's a garage downstairs for cars and then a living space upstairs, or a man cave or whatever you want to call it. But they were very short in the amount of money they offered for that land. So I know that you've heard they came in, they were second in the running. That is not the case. I know you probably heard on the news that this is a land use change. It is not a land use change. This land is industrial. This land, this is the Beeline Highway. This is the strategic intermodal system for the state of Florida. This is a direct inland port road that goes from the Port of Palm Beach to the center of the state and beyond. It was zoned industrial before I even lived here. So the racetrack has not been successful. That was a venture that wasn't successful. I know that there's a lot of history. There's a lot of folks that want a racetrack to continue there. The economics of a racetrack there. Here's a very simple statistic. The racetrack as it is right now is paying about $130,000 in taxes. If warehouses do go on that space, the tax collection for the county would go from $130,000 to over $3 million. So there are a lot of other statistics that I believe the sellers are putting together that I do not have at the moment. But this is not, it's not a done deal, but they are in contract right now to sell it to Portman. They are doing their due diligence. There's a schedule at which they're going to meet with planning and zoning. So that is the best update I can give you at this time.
Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Great. Once again, thank you, Maria. If you have any questions you think about later, let either me know or directly get it to Maria. She's very responsive. She'll answer your emails.
Al?
Yes, sir. Who's calling?
David Petru.
Yeah.
I apologize. It's a Jewish holiday tonight, Simchas Torah, and I have to get on another Zoom in about a half an hour.
Okay,
So,
we'll be done. We'll be done by 5:30.
Okay, take
We'll
care.
be done by 5:30. Okay, thank you, Maria. Okay, we're going to go to Mayor Litt from Palm Beach Gardens.
Great way
He's no
to say
stranger
it
to
right.
us either.
Great way to say it right, Sal. Thanks. Thanks everybody for having me. It's an honor as always to be here. Before I share my screen and get into the meat and heart of the presentation, I did want to address something that has been going on since the city approved its budget. And despite the bad optics and sensationalized headlines and editorials, it's important that all of you, our partners at the NCNC, know that the City of Palm Beach Gardens has a COVID financial relief plan, and that so far the city has spent $191,000 plus on mortgage, rental, and utility service relief for our residents. We have $195,000 additional dollars that are still in that fund, not yet applied for. So there is money available for residents who need it for mortgage and rent assistance. Most of you you're all in gated communities. Many of your residents may not need the assistance for themselves, but they have employees, they have friends and family. There are people that may, and we need them to know that the existence of this fund, and that there is money available for that. In addition, the city still has $181,000 available for low-income earners for repairing and upgrading their homes. We have also spent $549,500 so far on this project. So again, employees, family members, friends who may need to bring their houses up to code, who may need storm windows to harden their homes, who may need roofs and can't afford them, or painting. There is money available for that kind of help. We just have to make sure that the word is out there. We also gave away in direct food assistance to our residents $300,000 at the beginning of the pandemic to help them directly with Publix gift cards to be able to get food when they were laid off. We have put aside $1,200,000 to bring potable water to a neighborhood that could not afford the necessary infrastructure and construction costs. So we are doing an infrastructure project with that neighborhood to get them hooked up to for potable drinking water. And we've set aside $5,550,000 to incentivize our workforce housing development in Palm Beach County. And we'll be working with our developers on that piece of the puzzle. So to bring it back to what Maria said earlier, the ARP funding and the COVID funding are one-time funds. So you have to be careful where you put them, because as Sal mentioned, what happens when that money is gone? How do you sustain a program? You should also note that the city is not using the COVID funds to build the golf course. We are using the COVID funds for infrastructure on a recreational parcel. The golf course that will be ultimately built with the $14 million bond the city took, the non-ad valorem bond, will generate $1 million a year. We are not having the same problem in our part of the county. Now, it says a lot about the income level that we have here and the type of people that live here, but that's where we are as a city. We're not having problems with our golf courses not being able to sustain themselves as they are in other parts of the county. And our research has shown that this golf course should bring in about $1 million a year. That will be recurring income. And that revenue, that recurring revenue for the city, can be used for a whole host of services for our residents. So I just wanted to lay that all out on the table for you before I got into the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. And that one. Let me share. All right, can you see it?
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
great. So what I wanted to talk to everybody about today is collaboration. And there we go. Palm Beach Gardens is a city where we all work together to get things done. And while the pandemic has created an array of challenges for residents and businesses, we've put collaboration at the forefront of our approach to combat the impacts of COVID-19 on our community. As many of you are aware, in addition to what I already mentioned, early in the pandemic, the city worked closely with the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce and the PGA Corridor Association to create a grant program totaling $1.3 million in help for local businesses. These grants did not have to be paid back, and the money came out of city reserves. It didn't even come out. We hadn't even gotten the COVID CARES Act money yet, and it cannot be replaced with COVID CARES Act money. We've continued this cooperative approach by again involving the business community in the process of amending our outdoor restaurant seating policy to reflect our residents' increased demand for outdoor dining by allowing expanded outdoor seating and reduced parking requirements. The direct feedback from our business partners was critical in making this policy happen. Collaboration with our developers aided in the adaptation of city operations during the pandemic. For example, creating a drop box system for permit reviews allowed important paperwork to get done and development to continue without the need for personal contact with our employees at City Hall. Now, collaboration also happened when the city partnered with the chamber and community stakeholders to obtain a grant fund for the important resiliency study for Palm Beach North. And I know NCNC is a part of that as well. So in order for us to get the study done to see what our resiliency actually looks like, so we can move forward with the plan, the City of Palm Beach Gardens partnered with the chamber and you to get the grant for the resiliency study. When city council members were approached by members of the Student Government Association at the Palm Beach State College about safety issues on Campus Drive and with bus drop-off locations, we brought together our engineering department and the folks from PalmTran to work directly with these students and the college administration to come up with a solution that would not only benefit students, but the driving public and cyclists as well. The result of this was a mobility fee funded roundabout at the intersection of Campus Drive, you can see that on the screen, widening the existing sidewalk and creating an additional sidewalk on the east side of the street. This project is significant because it's the city's first mobility fee funded project, and it helps to establish the multimodal connectivity in that area of town that we had also discussed earlier, during Maria's presentation. PalmTran is also evaluating its current routes due to our collaboration. Oops, there we go. Continuing with the theme of proactive collaboration, last year, City Council adopted a comprehensive plan text amendment to incorporate transit-oriented development into our planning and zoning codes. The goal of this type of land use planning is to support the proposed tri-rail station on PGA Boulevard and should lead to that urbanization and infill to help absorb some of the people who want to move into our area and cut back on the traffic. Recognizing that workforce housing is a major issue in Palm Beach County, we've made significant efforts to adopt proactive planning and zoning policies to help address this issue. The first project in the city to benefit from these policies and provide workforce housing is the Solera at City Center apartment complex that includes 14 workforce housing units among its 136 units. Last November, City Council adopted our first comprehensive workforce housing program that provides tools to incentivize the creation of workforce housing, particularly within the TOD, as I discussed, and our urban core. I'm proud of the proactive approach to this issue that we're taking in the city and look forward to collaborating with our developers to address this important work and hope to continue bringing our vision for a better connected, affordable, and sustainable community to life. And as you may have seen, Catalfumo has already put in the paper that he will include and is working with the city to include workforce housing in the PGA station property that will be moving forward. And I am sure we on council are going to encourage that. We collaborate with our residents too. Let me see, did we get this? Oh, we don't have the picture of the traffic light. Okay, so we
It's on there.
collaborate with our residents too. Working with our-
Previous slide, if you go back to the previous
Oh,
slide.
it's on the slide with the other one. They mixed them side by side. Sorry about that.
There it
Okay,
is.
so we collaborate with our residents too, and working with our Western communities, which would be you all and the NCNC, we were able to encourage the county to support a very important traffic signal that I am happy to say is almost complete on North Lake Boulevard at Bay Hill Estates and the Sandhill Crane Golf Course. Anyone who has tried to leave the golf course, Ancient Tree, Carlton Oaks, Osprey Isles, or Bay Hill Estates knows how dangerous that intersection is. We are waiting, I understand, for the county to finish installation. There is a monitoring box that has to come from the county. So Maria, some extra push there to get that finished. I know you're working on it and it's not you, but we really need to get that up and going. Here we go. The city staff, manager, and council, through collaboration, have created an inspired vision for our city, centered around creating and maintaining an exceptional quality of life for our residents and businesses alike. I'd like to thank our city staff for helping the council to intricately plan and invest in building world-class amenities to help attract businesses and improve the lives of residents and visitors. So what have we done? In the past year alone, Palm Beach Gardens was awarded the U.S. Tennis Association's National Member Organization of the Year. We hosted the National Cal Ripken World Series baseball tournament, which generated close to 3,800 hotel nights and an estimated $1.7 million impact to our local economy. And we completed construction of 2 brand new synthetic turf baseball fields for our partnership with the Palm Beach County Miracle League, who hosted their inaugural season at this new location last October. We will continue the focus of improving the quality of life in our city in the coming year as we begin a substantial upgrade to our Burns Road Community Center and Aquatic Complex. That's the Miracle Field. Burns Road. Aquatic Complex. In addition to breaking ground on the Nicholas designed par 3 golf course and clubhouse near our current beautiful Sandhill Crane course. As you can tell, we've not let the pandemic slow down our objective to get business done. Our operations, amenities, and accolades are not the product of a few individuals or departments, but the result of years of collaboration with community stakeholders like you. Together, we've created a city that's forward-thinking, a great place to live and raise a family, and the envy of many. Whether it's with local business associations, community members, students from the college, or members of the development community, Palm Beach Gardens has always put collaboration at the forefront of our effort to be the city that gets things done.
Well, thank you there, Madam Mayor. Very informative. You know, I have to tell you, I've been to a couple of council meetings, not that many, but enough to know what happens, and they know me and I know you. I find your presentation here exceedingly more informative than when I go to the meeting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very well done. Any questions for the mayor? Well, you'll be on again, I'm sure, in the future. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. I did want to acknowledge that Ron Ferris was here somewhere. I can't see him right now on the screen. When you take your share off, your presentation off the screen, maybe he'll show up on the
Okay, let me
base there. And I do see Council Member Chelsea Reed was also, there she is. Chelsea was also on the program here today. And I see Joe Peduzzi from West Palm Beach, the commissioner from West Palm Beach is on there. And we had Ellen Baker earlier from North Palm Beach County Improvement District, and Kelly Burke representing Commissioner Melissa McKinley from the county is on there. Did I miss anybody? I don't mean to. I apologize if I did. Got 2 screens I'm trying to watch very carefully. But as always, we thank our elected officials and their legislative support team to, you know, be abreast of what we're doing here. Okay, as has been a practice in the past, we've had a community representative take a few moments to talk about who they are, what they look like, what they do. And Jim, is it Jim Levin or Jim Levin? Jim, take yourself off of mute.
Yes, it is Levin. Not
Levin,
Levine,
okay.
not Levine or Levine or Levin.
All right, from Ben Tree, can you get it down to about 5 or 6 minutes and then we'll finish at 5:30 promptly?
I think so. Camille, you were going to share?
Yep, there we go.
So Tree was established back in 1994, so we're about 27, going on 28 years old. I've been here for about 10 years now. If you can click ahead, and I'm going to go fast, so if anybody has any questions, let me know or reach out to me. As a board, we have a mission where we really, and these aren't in any particular order, we want to maintain a safe community. We want to improve property values in our neighborhood, and they have been going up rather dramatically, as all have. And we really feel, and I'm the treasurer, so I feel a strong fiduciary responsibility in managing our neighborhood assets. So very important things, all meant to improve the quality of life by enforcing our rules as all associations do. So if we can click ahead. I put two pictures there. The first one on the left to show our proximity to the two schools, which is a plus for us. A lot of our neighbors, people in the neighborhood their kids walk to school there. Our demographics have gotten much younger in the time period since I bought here 10 years ago. So we have a lot of young kids that walk to Timber Trace and Walter B. Duncan School. We also are very fortunate to have the North County Park right down the road from us. The next picture over shows that we're a very small neighborhood. We've got about a little more than a mile of roadways, one central pond. We are a gated community with a pool and 2 tennis courts. And one of the reasons why we're very popular, in addition to the schools and the park, is that we have a very, very low, competitively low HOA fee for our development. If we can click ahead. Our biggest challenges, we actually, it says 80,000 vehicles per year. If we were to annualize the September number, we'd have over 250,000 vehicles a year entering our neighborhood. And we have, within our neighborhood, we have a speeding issue outside the neighborhood also, but within our neighborhood, a speeding issue. We do track it. We've got 2 cameras that flash the speed to people when they are over the speed limit. And you can see, for instance, in between 2 and 3 o'clock, we actually had a car that was clocked doing 50 miles an hour in our neighborhood with a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. So it's a real challenge, we've struggled to do anything about, other than have asking for and getting an increased police presence, putting up these cameras that let the people know what speed they're going, although many people don't seem to care. You can see that we have actually 54% of cars that went by that particular device we're going over the speed limit. And unfortunately limited in that we can't, in our neighborhood or in Palm Beach Gardens, we're not allowed to use speed bumps or speed tables, which is a nit of mine that I think needs to be addressed. And then we also have an issue in the neighborhood as well as outside the neighborhood with parking. We have every other side parking, and people don't seem to, people don't follow it, which we have narrow roads, so cars going through the neighborhood have to weave in and out of cars that are parked on both sides of the road. If an emergency vehicle was to come through our neighborhood, they would have to hit cars to get down the road, we're told, and we're told they would hit those cars. Outside the neighborhood, it's a problem because we have a turning lane to get into Bentry, approaching from the south, and this couple of the schools use it as a bus stop. So there are cars that park there in the morning and the afternoon to pick up kids. which means the turning lane is no longer available, which creates a safety hazard. If we can click ahead.
That's it, Jim.
Okay, super. I don't know if we have time for questions. As I said, I'm available to answer any.
Yeah, Jim, if you don't mind, give me a call. I'll give you some ideas on what we're doing in IBIS. I mean, everybody's got these speeding issues. I mean, the speed limits within IBIS range as low as 20 miles per hour up to 35 miles per hour. But we have our cadre of residents who don't seem to want to abide by that, but we do certain things, obviously, to make them understand that we're serious about it. And unfortunately, you need a sacrificial lamb, and then word gets around, oh, they're serious about fining, they're serious about taking away the barcode and blah, 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 blah. So we make it somewhat inconvenient for them to get into the communities, but it's a real problem. We thank you for your presentation, and, don't hesitate. Do you have anybody else on the line here today that's from Bentry?
No.
All right, well, don't hesitate to bring somebody in that you want to cultivate some leadership responsibility for. We welcome that. We appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, well, look, just as a refresher, thank you once more for all your time. October the 7th, we've got a delegates only meeting for about 45 minutes. We'll get into details on that on the 7th. And then on the 26th, we've got a full load. I did miss somebody here. I saw Joe Abruzzo's office. He's the county clerk. I saw somebody representing him. I don't know if she's still on the line or not, but we're going to have Joe on the program in the future. He is the county clerk and very important position in that respect. Okay, has anybody got any burning desire to ask a question before we adjourn? Okay, I guess not. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Be well, all.
Okay, a second. Okay, take care, Commissioner. Thank you for your time today.
Anytime.
Okay, meeting adjourned. See you on the 7th. Thank you.
Bye-bye.